ways to do things in the world. Now, one of the things that's affecting nearly every single country in the world due to alleged Russian sanctions, which is complete bollocks, it's not true in any way, is electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another thing that everybody's talking about free energy machines, free energy machines. We need free energy machines. Well, I also have to think about in some way, shape, or form, I have to think about things if I'm talking about energy too. Okay, so I've heard I've heard everybody talk about free energy. So now I have to think about what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got people right now, millions of people all around the world that build, construct, manufacture everything to do with your power lines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, millions of people would lose their job overnight if I didn't take that into consideration. That's not a good thing.
Right.
Now I have to take into account as well the extremely inefficient power companies who are raping the entire world right now, and it's not because of the Russians. So I have to take into account, okay, so these people are going to give me a hard time. They really are. I'm also going to get a hard time from, the people that manufacture transformers. I'm going to get a hard time from the solar people. I'm going to get a hard time from all these industries. So this is where the industrialization process comes in. We can choose with free energy devices to implement them through current power grids in some cases, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. The power company, you have to take those people, those are giants. Even though we don't have a non-compete plan or people that are going to enforce the non-compete plan, but we still have to take that into account. Now, if you have electricity, you have wiring in your home which runs on an alternating current, which is extremely unhealthy for you.
Yeah.
So I need to take that into account too. Do I have to rewire the homes? Do I have to change the way that works in the future? What do I do with existing homes? How do I change that? I'm going to have to retrain all of the electricians on planet Earth to do something different. Now I have to build training facilities. So there's a process that takes place when you're introducing major global changes.
Right.
We have to really look at these things. So do I have a solution for this? Some of it, yes, I do. Retraining is easy. All of these things are fairly simple. You're going to need to manufacture the free energy device somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be millions of manufacturing jobs that are created from this. Then you're going to need people to install them. And then you're going to need people to maintain them. Switch them out when it's needed to be switched out. There's going to be cost involved. There's going to be things that will need to happen. Plus, it's going to take you eons to tear down the existing power grid and get rid of the transformers.
Mm-hmm.
So let me introduce you to my little friend. Now, there's my little friend.
Well, hello,
so what
little
is
friend.
this? This is a neutrino-powered. We talked about neutrinos months ago, but you can look them up again and see what they are. This is a neutrino-powered device. It is approximately 200 millimeters by 300 millimeters, or around 8 inches or so. If you're in the United States, it's a pretty small device.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some key things that I can tell you about this device. Number one, if there is a prototype, it is already running. It will run for about 50 years.
Okay.
It requires no external power source or fuel.
Wow.
That's right. How exciting is that?
Oh my gosh.
So you could literally drop this in the middle of nowhere, Africa, and power a home.
Oh my goodness.
This one device produces around 7 kilowatts, which will power a home. So could we do this everywhere in the world? Sure. Now, because of industrialization and changes, do we want to do that? Well, that's really up to the power companies at this point, because I've thought about that too. Electricity is expensive. It's getting more expensive for no reason whatsoever other than some Dr. Evil guy had a fantasy and created our gas bills and our power bills to go up, and then just figured out they'd create a boogeyman for that, and that boogeyman is known as the Russians. Completely false, untrue statement. They want everybody to be mad at the Russians. We're going back to the 1980s when us 80s kids were crawling under our desks because there was going to be a nuclear war any second.
Right.
The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. Okay. So these little devices, although one is capable of powering a home, they can be put together like Legos, not Lincoln Logs. We don't want to talk about that. This is Legos.
Legos.
So you can connect them together, and now you've got 14 kilowatts. You can connect more together. So yes, it requires more space, but you can build a 500 kilowatt power plant from one of these.
Wow. Okay.
So what does that do for the power companies? So these boxes will run for 50 years before they need to be replaced. So what if you make a deal as we convert from dirty energy to clean energy? What if we make a deal? We build power plants where your existing power plants and transformers are, and you lower the cost of electricity because you're not paying for it. It's free. For consumers. And for low-income people, you provide it for free. Fair? Till we can start changing the world? That sounds like a transition period.
Right.
It would have to be mandated. So will they actually do it? Most of these people, everybody says they're not run by the government in some countries. In some countries they are. But that's absolutely not true. They've been run by the world government forever. They're part of the non-compete plan. You cannot own a power company unless you are one of them.
Right.
Will they comply? It's okay if they do. It's okay if they don't. Because everybody's going to be installing these boxes. Now, hey, they will power your home with alternating current. They will also run on voltage only, which is the healthiest way to get electricity into your home. And they will also emit a frequency, which is positive for you, unlike our current Wi-Fi system. It's actually a healthy, healing frequency. That's right. That's what an organic technology looks like. It runs on something that is organic, and it doesn't interfere with other organic matter in the world.
So basically, you can keep your current infrastructure and still use these boxes, is what you're trying to say.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. So either the power companies are going to comply,
right,
or nobody's going to be buying electricity from them anymore. Then it doesn't become profitable anymore, and that's fine. We're okay either way, right?
Yeah.
But this is what going into an organic timeline looks like.
Okay.
Your technologies are organic. They are powered by something that is organic. Although oil and gas are organic, they produce an inorganic emission, which causes us problems and makes us sick.
Right.
So these things, they are so small. We're not going to electric cars, world order people. Okay, we've proven they blow up. They're extremely inefficient. You expect to go, 2025 or something like 2030? They want to have all electric cars in the state of California. You don't even have power charging stations. You have not thought this through. It's called industrialization, lawmaker people that voted something in that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
You have no infrastructure to put together that law that you just tried to pass in the Hall of Records, which didn't pass, but you put it there anyway. And you're going to try to implement it anyway, because why? We just don't care what anybody else does. When you don't have any industrialization, nobody thought through that process at all. And these people are looking at me like, am I capable of putting money without a man in a correct location? The answer to the question is, I think I've just proven I can. Right? Mm-hmm. Are there men involved in the care admin team that understand this concept? Yes, there are. So I'm not the only person here. And they are all working very hard because they understand exactly what I just told you. How to take a product from concept to industrialization to you.
Mhm.
Now, will these devices upset the gas company, the oil company, and other industries? Possibly, because I can power a car with one of these. I can power a plane with one of these. I can power,
Anything. Yeah.
anything. The possibilities are endless. I can, if I wanted to power my train with it, I could. I don't need to, but I can.
Mhm.
So think about all that's going to change in the industry. So what happens if you talk to all of the oil and gas companies again and you go to them and you say, hey, we're going to start converting to actual organic green energy. That's green energy. It doesn't take a football field and a half of solar panels to power, a facility. So, and I'm driven by those football fields of green energy, thank
Yeah.
you, Obama. Green
So weird.
jobs.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
all the wind turbines, the acres and acres or whatever, wind turbines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can talk to the oil and gas companies and see if they want to manufacture them in their country and then train people to install them and so on and so forth. And they'll still have they're fairly expensive. One of these boxes right now would go for about $5,000. Not to say that they're not available or anything like that, but we are willing to pay for the conversion process along the way. We would pay for the installation of them in a power company. We would cut the oil and gas manufacturers in on the deal to make sure that they're not going to give us a hard time with our boxes. Now, will the government give us a hard time? Well, then I can market it as a panelless solar, device. Well, neutrinos do come from the sun as well. Not the only place, but they do. And and I could call it a panelless solar device because that's approved pretty much in every country in the world, thanks to Obama,
Mhm.
and the Paris Climate Control Treaty and all of those types of things. But now I don't need to mine, I don't need to mine coal. I don't need to have nuclear power plants, which, produce nuclear waste. And then, there's the enriching of uranium. And then it's also a national security risk. To be fair, anybody who remembers Chernobyl, they actually bombed the nuclear facility. And then, obviously it caused major problems in that whole region, agricultural region of Ukraine, then USSR at the time. So, nothing's going to happen to this thing if you bomb it, blow it up, even if you link, hundreds of them together. It's still not a security risk. It just stops working and then the power goes out. And then we just have other ones there and we just replace them. Click, 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 click. And you get a power plant.
Wow.
I know.
I'm just thinking, Kim, about what this could do for people that, right now, so many cities, people are just living on top of each other, which is so ridiculous, right? Because there's so much land out there. This idea of us being overcrowded. I mean, there are people overcrowded in cities, but there's plenty of land throughout the earth. So I just think about all the possibilities of having one of these boxes and people being able to go and live in areas that they really want to live, not just because, well, that's the only place that gets electricity or this is the only place where I can get internet. You know what I mean? This just opens up so much to people to be able to spread out and really appreciate this planet as opposed to just being piled and, like sardines, just right next to each other and everything we do.
Exactly. There's no infrastructure out there and nobody wants to pay for it.
Right.
They don't care if we're all sitting in cities like sardines just so we can have a job. They don't care in any way. They would, like I said, they would put us all in a box and let us just be good little batteries for their stupid Stargates if that's what, if they had their way. It's been said like that verbatim to me before. They don't care how the cows live. They don't care how the cattle lives and in any way, shape, or form, but we care because this is our planet now. We want to build this planet. We want to have proper infrastructure, proper transportation. Eventually there'll be different types of planes available, that these people have been flying around in for years. that we can use commercially. There's no reason why it takes that long. It takes that long because we're using old antiquated jet engines. We're using oil and gas. We're using other things that we don't need to be using. And in order to preserve the countries that are predominantly dependent on the income from oil and gas, we can come up with other ways of industrialization of new technologies where nobody's left behind. It's very simple. It's very easy. Is that anti-capitalism? Is that socialism? No, it's responsible growth. That's what that is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You're taking the existing infrastructure, figure out who your biggest enemies are going to be, who's going to lose the most by percentage, and you're factoring that into your new technology and your new way of doing things. I don't want there not to be an American Airlines or a United Airlines, or Delta Airlines. But, the government so far has not come forward. So therefore, their $500 billion per year they would get for prepaid flight time on the plane is not getting paid either. And then now with this system going down, now they can see there's no hope of them getting paid because that they've been hanging on these types of things as promises that one day it'll be released. The fake wallets, all of those things are all tied to what they were seeing this week. Their whole world is crashing down on them right now. Mm-hmm. And when I say they were, slightly off balanced yesterday, to put it mildly, you had corporate leaders, they're all Black Sun people, the non-compete plan. Bush put them everywhere when he was Black Eagle. The whole world was freaking out yesterday. So if you were feeling chaotic energy, you were spot on because they were nuts. What do you mean the order's gone? What do you mean? Well, there's no more Black Eagle. What do you mean? Yep. So, yep, they were looking to hang somebody,
I bet.
The two dearly departed gentlemen also basically said that the reason why they didn't get paid on a day ending in Y, I think it was probably last Friday, is because of me. It's my fault. I'm like, I didn't promise anybody they were getting paid and didn't deliver. I'm like, why are you blaming me?
And you have no contracts with any of these people. I mean, come on. But you're just supposed to give them money just because.
I don't even know half these people exist. Do you know for wearing a rubber mask that some of these guys are promised $1 billion?
For wearing a rubber mask? What do you mean?
We have a couple presidents that maybe.
Oh, those kind of. I was thinking something like, I don't know, to protect you in a nuclear or whatever. Okay, you're talking about the people that dress up as other people and pretend they're other people, and they're getting paid to do that.
Yeah.
I see. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, $1 billion. No wonder why they're all running around wearing masks. Of course, they didn't get paid that yet, but there's a promise and a possibility.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a song when we were kids? I am a promise.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, anyway, so that's basically why I was not on the news on Monday. That's a little crash course in the new industrial revolution, a little idea of things to think about when you are coming up with your new projects. There are companies that we don't need. In other words, we do not need Monsanto in any way, shape, or form. No, that does nothing. We do not need the fluoride producers, which is nuclear waste, in case you don't know that. We do not need that. We do not need a lot of different things in this world. So there are going to be some industries that will just go away.
Yeah.
Or replaced entirely if in some cases, we have a ways to go, but we cannot stop the world from running while we make transitions, but we need to start making those transitions.
Right.
This place is a mess. They have made a mess and not cared. They are self-entitled people for the most part. The ones, I don't know how many are left, but they feel like they're entitled to do whatever they want. And it just happens. Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. Now you have to live like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You don't get your special little bunkers. You don't get your special little this and your special little that. You have to pay the electric bill just like we do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this Powell's talking about inflation. I don't even know, why is he still talking? There's no Fed system. There's no money in the Fed. There's no nothing. And what are you inflating?
Yeah,
Just because
I
he talks about higher interest rates. Now, what are the effects of higher interest rates? See, this is where my analytical brain comes in very handy. So I just reverse engineered and made sure that I could integrate my new technology into the world without harming existing industry. So let's talk about inflation. What did he just do? So he's just slowed consumerism down. How many people are not going to buy a car this year? You're killing your own corporations. I don't even know if they get that. They're already suffering. Ford, they're going to need another bailout. It's in the news. They're talking about it. Well, you just crushed them because nobody has an extra 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000 laying around because you just locked down the whole country for, the whole entire planet for 2 years. People don't have businesses. They're going to get different jobs. They're working at, they once had a successful business and now they are delivering pizzas for Domino's or insert pizza company here. Look what you did. So you're going to slow consumerism so that people aren't going to be able to buy houses anymore. They're going to make the decision not to buy a house and probably upgrade their existing one. So you've just killed the real estate market. Mm-hmm. Pretty much globally. And nobody's going to buy a new car now because interest rates are going up.
Right.
Probably going to stop using their credit cards too. That's going to hurt the banks even more. Great job, Powell. You're just in your infinite wisdom, Businesses are not going to be able to buy as much in raw materials now because a lot of that's done on lines of credit. Mm-hmm. I know they're trying very hard to crash the world's economy, but you've got no one to pick it up now. And I know that they were still promised that this was going to happen by the time he gave that speech. But do you see the cause and effect on the world that you have when you have 5 crazy people that do not understand economics, they do not understand industrialization, and they do not understand how to make money. Right. Just because you put $2 quadrillion in hysterical bonds and crap into a closed loop system and said, ha, look at the quadrillions we have in here, doesn't a financial system make. You still got to make the whole machine hump down to the last nail, screw, or widget. You have to make it function. Supply chains of television sets and all of these types of things, rare earth minerals that go into our phones. Can I make those? Some of them we can. Then we don't have to tear apart the planet. Some of those rare earth minerals are capable of charging our water and making it healthy. We don't need to pull them out of the ground. Yeah. The world, and it is very easy to create organic technologies that function in accordance with natural law and still make plenty of money. Mm-hmm. The problem they have on that side of them is they have poor leadership. And maybe when they said, oh, do we need a man next to her so she can have a level head and all of that, the whole 2 heads with which to think thing or something, it's causing more of a problem for them than it's solving because I'm not in conflict, So I can figure this out. But this is the part that they fail to understand. The only thing they know is they want to rule the world, but they don't know how to do it. Now, I'm not interested in power in any way. I'm interested in empowering in every way because I don't need to be powerful. What I need is a vacation. So you guys need to get on this stuff like now. If I have any hope of having a vacation, this is it. Yeah. So as you're pulling together your projects and as we're all moving forward into the restoration plan, I just want you to understand, where do I fit in this stuff? Where does my project fit? Now, there'll be some like you want to make a homeless shelter in your area, or you want to build a bakery, or you want to do this, or you want to do that, um, that don't really directly affect the global order of things.
Sure.
But in your local demographics, how many bakeries are there currently? Do they manufacture the same type of things that you do, or produce the same types of things that you do? Will you be successful if you build another bakery in this particular area? Would you be hugely successful if you built one, like you said, in one of those small towns in the middle of nowhere, Sunny, when you have power to do it now? Like, maybe you
Absolutely.
would be, you know? And then do you hope to be international? Are you going to ship your items? And how long do they last? And does it go bad? That kind of thing, you know? Just all things to think about as you're putting your projects together and getting them ready. But now you have to understand with the care admin team, now you understand how daunting this task is. And that's just one project, big one, albeit, but it's just one. Now imagine looking at thousands, millions of people's projects or requests, because there are different levels of projects. You could be a requester. I have no idea how to build a school, but I definitely know I need one in my area.
Right. Right.
You know, I have another global project that I've looked at called the intranet. An intranet is specifically for kids. You know, we talked about the tablets and all those types of things, but I had to look at how that's going to affect all of the different industries around the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have another one where, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever been to China or you're from China. They have Wi-Fi everywhere. Now they're using it for bad purposes, but that can be used for good purposes, because those little boxes that are like on these antennas all over the place cover 15 miles of Wi-Fi. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but we can turn them into a radio mesh, and then it's healthy. It's not going to hurt anybody anymore. We can use them in our oceans, and it's not going to hurt the sea life in the oceans. So much we can do. You know, it just takes a bunch of people to sit and look at every single one of your proposals, every single one of your projects, and make sure that the industrialization is complete. You know, is it possible? Is this thing going to be priced out of the market? You know, yes, I could make a door stopper out of gold, but it's going to cost you $2,000. You're probably going to opt for the little metal coils, you know, aluminum spring thingy, you know, which is like $5 or something in the US. You know, is it a product that people are going to need? Is there something better out there? Is there a better technology to achieve the same objective in a natural and organic way? So,
Kim, some of these care projects that the admin team is going to be working on will we have access to be able to see kind of what's up and coming? Because I'm just thinking this may help some of the people with their smaller projects. If they know that, for example, the bullet train is coming, that may impact a project that they want to do and may allow something or trigger something, you know, ideas, thoughts, or whatever. So is that going to be something that maybe is information that's available eventually through the CARE website or something like that that can help people? Okay.
Yes, there'll be a map, and like the key integrated monetary system also has that. You can zoom in on a country. You can see like what care projects are currently going on. You can open up that particular area, and you can see that, oh, in my city, I've got 12 care projects that are going on right now, and I have these that are proposed projects. So then, yes, there'll be a train that's coming in, but that's a global thing because that'll be in every single country. And then you can see the route that it's going to go.
Okay.
You know, you'll be able to see, you know, the import export. You know, can I now export my organic macadamia nuts? Because I know I can get it there faster now than ever before and in great quantities. And now I can sell those, you know, in the mainland from Hawaii or, you know, so on and so forth. It's going to increase the amount of import and exports exponentially. It's going to help companies grow. The other thing we need to deal with is the pinch point on imports and exports, customs and tariffs that was formed during the when the World Trade Organization was actually called the GATT. That was a long time ago, folks, just so you know. You can look that up. And, they went through several rounds of negotiations and they came up with this grandiose plan that allowed for their companies to pay none, but everybody else, their competitors, to pay customs and tariffs, which then knocks most of the competitors out of the international market. That was the plan. So all that needs to change. If you want capitalism, if that's what you're looking for, it's not controlled capitalism. It works in a different way where, you are the creator, you are the inventor, you are the business owner, or maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you want to go work for another business that does stuff like that, builds those types of devices. Maybe that's your thing. Maybe you're a musician, and you haven't gotten anywhere with your music because why? Because the industry is corrupt. Now you can do those types of things. So there's no more, it's the government's fault, in the near future. It's no more, it's the cabal's fault. It's this person's fault. It's my cousin's fault. It's Kim. It's your fault. They love that one. It's my fault for everything. I'm doing everything wrong. I don't understand anything, There's no more of that because the only person's fault is you. We clear the path. We made these things possible. Now, if there's going to be a change, it truly is up to you now.
Yep. This, Kim, is a great lead-in actually for Real Talk this weekend, because that's exactly what we're talking about, is how to think bigger, because we're not going to have all these roadblocks in our way anymore, and how to get out of that former mindset of we talk about the hamster wheel, right? So I got to get up, I do this, blah, 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 pay bills, meh. I don't like my job, but, pays the bills kind of thing. And how do we get out of that? How do we kind of shake ourselves free? Because, and partly due to this technology that we're talking about, the world is changing. But we have to change our way of thinking so we can think bigger, because we're not going to have the government, over our heads and, in our business like this. It's up to you now. It's up to you.
That's right. Be the change. Get ready. Don't sit there and say, I'm waiting for funding. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. You'll be left behind in the new world, Formulate a plan. What if you could market your own self? What if you could? There's so many possibilities as a co-creator with Source that you can do. You just have to focus and figure out what makes your heart sing, what makes you the happiest in the world when you're doing it, and figure out a way to support yourself. Now those options are out there. You don't have to go through a bunch of rapists and murderers and whatnot to get there. No more non-compete plan. That's off the table. The remaining three generals, they said they want their cutoff of every deposit we make, or they're not going to let it go through, because we had some transfers we did yesterday. And my response was, I'll see you in Durango, Colorado. I'll be happy to discuss that. I understand, they have needs. Well, I have needs too. I'm needy. I am so needy, So that's about it for this Wednesday. Glad I could join you in person.
Me too.